Okay, well, I think we can go ahead and get started, and we may have a few families that will join us as we go along. But good evening and welcome. My name is Charlie Stillwell. I'm the head of school at Episcopal, and I really appreciate your taking time out of your busy schedules to join us for our program tonight and to begin about Episcopal. The what we hope that you'll be able to take away from our program is beginning to get a better sense of those aspects of Episcopal that make this such a special community. We've got a great group of students who are here to share some thoughts with you. We have a wonderful group of teachers who are here to share some thoughts. And then we want to make sure that you understand our admissions process as well. We do hope that though this program tonight will be a great place to start, we really hope that you'll have a chance to come and visit with us on campus, because I think when you see the life of our students and our faculty together here on the campus in action, it gives you a full sense of why Episcopal is such a wonderful opportunity for our current students, and we hope eventually for all of you. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to our Director of Admissions, Scott Conklin, who will lead us into the program for tonight. But again, thank you so much for being with us.
Great. Thank you, Charlie, and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're excited to share more about Episcopal High School. Just a couple notes here as we lead into this. One, you're welcome to keep your videos on. You can also turn it off, but we do ask that you mute during the panels. And I wanted to let you know that we're also recording this. So if you have to jump off at any point, we'll have it recorded and share that with everybody. In terms of asking questions, so if you want to ask a question to the panel, you can turn on your microphone and ask that. Unmute, or you can put it in the chat. So there's a chat that everyone can see the questions. For the student panel, you can ask a question to Ashley Taylor, who is our Dean of Students. So as Charlie mentioned, we're going to have a student panel for about 30 minutes. Then we'll turn it over to our faculty, let our students get to study hall, and then we'll finish with outlining our application and admissions process. So we're excited for you to join us. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley and our students.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Hi, everyone. I just want to echo the thanks for spending some time with us this evening. My name is Ashley Taylor. I'm the Dean of Students here at Episcopal, and I'm very excited for you guys to have a chance to meet a few of our students tonight. So students, can you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves? Why don't you tell us your name, what grade you are, where you're from, and maybe a few things that you're involved in here at Episcopal.
My name is John Rogers. I am a senior I was raised in the Plains, Virginia, but I moved to California, so, either one works. I've been here for 4 years. I play football, I do winter track and field, and I play baseball in the spring. And I'm also serving as this year's head monitor of the student body. So if you have any questions, I'm a good person to ask.
Hello, my name is Ava Sowie. I'm from Virginia. I'm a senior. I fortunately get to work with John Rogers also as a senior monitor here. I'm a dorm monitor. I've managed football with John, and I'm girls varsity captain of the basketball team in the winter, and then I run track in the spring. So nice.
My name's Ian. I'm a senior from Sarasota, Florida. I'm also a senior monitor with Ava, and I'm on the football team with John. And then in the winter, I do the winter musical, so a little theater. And then in the spring, I'm also running track and field. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Alina. I'm a junior, and I'm from Beijing. I play tennis during the fall, and I swim during the winter, and I also do crew during the spring. I am an organizational tutor for the freshmen, and I also am an ambassador.
Hey everyone, I'm Jaden. I'm a senior and I live in Saudi Arabia. At EHS, I am the chair of our school's honor committee. I'm the president of the government club. I give tours and I play squash in the winter.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm from Alabama. I work with Jaden as a member of the honor committee. I'm also head of our school's writing center, so it's a tutoring group. I'm president of book club, and I am not an athlete, but I do a lot of arts on campus.
And hey guys, I'm Davian. I'm a junior from DC, and I play basketball in the winter. I do robotics, and I also do track and field. And I'm a prefect on a freshman dorm. So me and I get to like help freshmen get comfortable with living on a boarding school.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. So as Mr. Conklin said, we really want this to be a time where you guys get to have your questions answered straight from the store, straight from these students. So please feel free to use the chat feature or unmute yourself and just jump right in. But to kick things off, students, let's start with just why did you choose Episcopal? So lots of people on the open house today looking at maybe other boarding schools, local day schools, public schools. What is it about Episcopal that ultimately made you say yes to EHS?
I can go first. One reason among many why I chose Episcopal is because of how the school utilizes the location to DC. So we get to go into DC a lot. We have a 2.5-hour block in the middle of the day, which teachers can use to have class go to DC, and then we also get to go to DC on the weekends and sort of sign out there to go and explore the city and really utilize it.
For me, since I'm an international student, what me and my family mainly looked at was the location as well, and also it's 100% boarding. And I feel like it's very important because everyone's like together, and we could just like go to different dorms and like have chats, and also with like teachers. So like Miss Shwanda, which is like my dorm head, she lives on my dorm, and if I have any math problems, I can always like go to her and ask her since she's my math teacher.
For me, coming here was a bit of a special case. My family moves around a lot, and going to boarding school meant that I would get to be in the same place for the next 3 years of my schooling. So I decided to come here as a sophomore because everyone lives on campus together, which a lot of the other schools I was looking at, it was half boarding and half day, and I didn't really want that. I wanted to all be together on one campus.
I think as Meg said, what makes Episcopal special is that it's 100% boarding. So that might be intimidating at first. Like when I was a freshman, I'm gonna be honest, it was a little scary. You know, you're living with guys you don't know, and your teachers are your parents essentially. But I mean, after a few weeks, like that becomes your family. Like I got to know everyone as a freshman during COVID. We were on our dorms, and the people are still family to this day. And it's kind of awesome to have resource at your fingertips. Like if you have a test the next day, if you have a math test, you're confused, you got a teacher on your floor. You can go down the hall, knock on the door, and ask them a question. And so I think that's really unique about Episcopal.
For me, I was looking more at the athletics when I decided to come to Episcopal. For girls, we are in the ISLs, which is one of the most competitive leagues in the nation, along with the WCAC, which is like our sister whatever league. But I really like how everybody like kind of not forced, but they're encouraged to do an afternoon option. So there's a lot of sports you can do. Like I've only done basketball my entire life until I came here when I did track and I did softball, and I got to get to know the game of football. So they offer a lot of opportunity when it comes to sports.
Yeah, so I originally was looking at a lot of schools in the Northeast, and my mom kind of stumbled upon Episcopal High School. And so we just randomly kind of toured it one day just while we were in DC. And really, as soon as I stepped foot on campus here, it just felt like home, honestly. Um, I felt like I knew is where I could see myself spending 4 years. Everybody like on my tour is saying hi. I had an incredible tour guide who gave me a tour, and it really, as soon as I stepped foot on campus, I was just like, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be.
In my opinion, I gotta say one of the reasons was the support system everybody has here. Like everybody, like all the teachers are here constantly and they're always around, and you see them walking around And you can always email them or see them in person and ask them questions, and they're welcome to answer them. And also like the sense of like older siblings you have here, like you always feel like you have an older sibling you can ask questions. So I guess say the support system for me was the most important.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Oh, did I miss someone?
No, I was just gonna add to Ava's point about athletics. I think when I came here, I had no idea of what I was gonna do. I was a baseball player, and I came to realize very quickly that the coaches here have a lot of connections to the collegiate level. I got fortunate enough after these 4 years to play at Virginia the next year, and I owe it all to Coach Rogers and the rest of the staff. And so when you come here, you have the ability to make those connections and work with amazing athletes. Like Episcopal gets some really amazing athletes. So if you are an athlete, you are looking to play sports at the next level, this is not a bad place to look.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. The questions are starting to come in through the chat. So I think it was Jaden who mentioned this 2.5 hour block of time and how teachers can use that to take classes to DC. Would any of you be able to elaborate on that? Maybe share, we call them flex blocks. So share an example of a flex block that you've been on that has been particularly interesting for you.
I can take this one. I'm in an AP painting class here. I'm a big art person. And just last week, we got to go to the National Gallery, and our teacher has special access to the National Gallery's library, which basically has like 5 floors of art books. And it was one of the coolest places I've ever been. We got to look at different artists from different areas. So I looked at one from Israel because that's where my family's from. And it was so cool to see all of that represented in one space in DC.
Yeah, so I have another example of a flex block. For us, like people who play football, we have fall athletics as an early return date. So we're back 2 weeks early before everyone else gets back to really just practice football. And so during that time, we're playing football this time, and our coach actually planned out a sort of a flex block. So while it wasn't in the actual academic calendar, it was sort of under that flex block. Our MRC director, Mr. Pemberton, told us about our flex block. And so what we did was we went to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And then after that, we went to the Arlington National Cemetery. And one of our coaches, who is a veteran, sort of talked to us about what it means to him. And so I think while it's not necessarily in the academic schedule, it just shows that no matter what you're doing here on campus, we're really committed to that connection to DC. And are always taking the opportunity to learn no matter what the circumstances are. So I think that it's a really valuable resource that we use a lot.
Yeah, to add on to what Ian said, I'm a native Washingtonian, so I've lived here for quite some time, and yet I'd never been to any of the national museums or the monuments or the White House until I got here, which is kind of funny in itself. But the opportunities and the sites that you see through the MRC and the Flex Block programming is absolutely really cool.
Yeah, and me and Ava would both take Shakespeare with Mr. Morgan during the fall, and Mr. Morgan was talking about how we would watch different Shakespeare theater plays for us to have like a deeper understanding of how this play is performed and act. And as a freshman, during my freshman year, me and Davian, well, we were in the same class, but we went to ice skating, I think, for physics to learn about like the different basically learn about physics itself and to also have fun.
I see a question here from Maxwell from Illinois. Was it hard to be away from your family and going to a place where you may not know anyone? So no matter what grades you're entering, freshman, sophomore, junior, even senior, there's obviously going to be initial adjustment. But I think as time went on, I started to, when we went on like Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, I started to get a feeling like, wait, I want to come back. Like no other place, like my old high school, my old middle school, I want to go home. But this place starts to feel like home. So it's pretty amazing. And once you step on campus, you kind of get that feeling. I'm sure it's a little I'm sorry, parents, to say that just because your kids might want to be here more than want to be at home, but there are a lot of opportunities. Parents weekend, family weekends. We make time for you guys to come down here and for the kids to go back home. So it really is a smooth adjustment.
Davian, as a prefect on the ninth grade dorm, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what that ninth grade dorm life looks like and how you guys support some of our new students when they're maybe struggling with that transition?
Yeah, well, first I want to start off with when you get here, you're not the only person going through things. So like everybody else is experiencing, especially on freshman dorms, they're experiencing being nervous, not knowing anybody. But we have like prefects usually try to have like games. Like at the beginning of the year, we had kickball with the freshman girls dorm and the freshman boys dorm, and we've all played together to just everybody to get comfortable and get used to knowing each other. And like you can always ask the upperclassmen for anything. Like if you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody just to listen to you. It's always just like you always have somebody here, and we always try to connect with you.
All right, that's great. I'm seeing some different questions about like managing time and support and the schedule. And Alina, I'm wondering if I could put you on the spot as an organizational tutor to talk a little bit about the ninth grade study hall program in Townsend.
Yeah, of course. So basically, for us, it would be rising juniors and rising seniors. So we would fill out a form and we would basically write an application if you want to be an organizational tutor, and then the teacher go through the selection and basically choose the best students, basically that they think is suitable for this position. So what we do is we would sit with the students during study hall and make sure they basically finish their work on time, and to basically have a good understanding of what they need to do and how to organize their time when they first make their transition into Episcopal. And they can always go to math, science, and writing center support. So this is a student-run organization that can help you to succeed academically. So let's say you have a math problem that you really need help with. You can always ask your proctor and tell them, hey, I need to go to the math and science tutor. And the students over there would explain the math and science problems for you. And Meg is the head of the writing center, and you just book an appointment with one of the writing center tutors, and they would basically look over your essay and give you like any suggestion that you need for your paper.
That's great. And maybe Ian, would you be able to explain sort of how that evening schedule changes as you progress from being a sophomore from being a freshman through sophomore, junior, and up to senior year, kind of how we help you guys gain some independence and responsibility?
Yeah, so as a freshman, at 8 o'clock through 10 o'clock, you spend the whole 2 hours in the library, and basically you're assigned a senior monitor, who's kind of there to like make sure that you're in study hall and staying focused, and you don't have your phone with you, and there's no distractions. And so you're really just locked into that. Then sophomore year, you sort of graduate, if you will, to an upperclassman dorm, and then the teachers are still checking on you, but you can stay in your room for study hall, and you're really locked in your room, and you're still doing all the same things, but you're just in your room now. And then junior year, we give you the ability to sign out to the library. You can go sign out to other dorms if you have a group project or something like that. You can go work with some of your project mates, and you start to get a little bit more of that freedom. And then as a senior, which I am, you don't have to sign in on dorm until 10 o'clock. And so really, as you progress, you get that liberty and you get the trust that you're going to get your work done. And so as you progress through Episcopal, you get more opportunities to be accountable of yourself and just really take all of your academic success into your own hands.
Awesome. All right, here is a question. What is a favorite tradition at Episcopal?
This is the obvious answer, but nothing beats the Woodbury game. I mean, come on, like it's oldest rivalry in the South. You get thousands of people there. It's really the weekend that makes the year for me, at least. And it doesn't matter if you're a player or student or you're just, you're going to watch. It's a pretty awesome event, and the whole week beforehand is just energetic and fun and dress up days, and it's pretty awesome. But you got to come here to experience it, you know?
One of my favorites is probably dorm games. It's like the first weekend of the school year when everyone else comes back to campus is you have your brother and sister dorm. There's 8 dorms, and each dorm has a brother and sister dorm. And you team up and you like do sponge relay, you do tug of war, you do swim relay, all these types of games to where you can earn points and then claim the victory of dorm games. I mean, it's kind of rigged the past couple of years, to be quite honest, because we should have won this year, but it's all right. You know, we're good sports. We'll get West and North. We'll get it next year, but it's one of my favorite traditions.
I'm with Ava on this one. I also really like dorm games. And one thing I really like about dorm games is it's at the beginning of the year when everyone's sort of like getting to know each other. And I think it really helps build a sense of community because the whole school's competing like against each other, and it really helps foster a sense of community among those on like a particular dorm.
I saw a question about what is the schedule like every day, and that was one of the things that I was wondering as a student coming to Episcopal. So basically, a typical weekday, I wake up at around 7:35, get a good breakfast. You gotta get breakfast in before the class day starts. And then on Tuesdays, you'll have 3 class periods. You'll have one in the morning, and then you'll meet with your advisory, who is your group of students and teachers that you can get especially close with and meet on a weekly basis. And then you'll have a class after that, a good lunch period, and then finally one afternoon class. And the class periods are an hour and 15 minutes long. Not too bad, if I do say so myself. I think it's the perfect amount of time. You get a little break in between as well to go get a bagel or a little pick-me-up coffee. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, after your 3 class periods, you have a period where you're able to go meet with teachers, office hours, and that's lasts for an hour. So you get that time to finish homework and get any questions you have answered. And following office hours, you have a break in between your school day and sports. You have an hour-long break. Where you can just hang out on dorm, watch a movie, whatever you want, go get ready for practice. And then from 4 to 6 p.m., you'll have a practice, whatever sport you do, that'll be your allotted time. And then afterwards, it's pretty much on you. From 6 to 8 p.m., you go connect with people. You go to the student, my favorite place, Stewart. You'll meet Irma if you come here. She cooks the best burgers around, best chicken tenders as well. And so you go get food there, you go get food in the dining hall, dinners, usually an hour and a half, I think six, I don't know if I'm getting the time right, around 6 to 7:30. And then 8 to 10, you'll have a 2-hour period of study hall. So they give you a lot of time to get your work done. And obviously on Wednesdays that changed a little bit where you have chapel at night, and then 4 class periods during the day, but it's pretty easy to get into a routine. And yeah.
Awesome.
To add
Thanks,
on to
John.
John.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ava.
Oh, sorry. The schedule here is similar like to a college schedule, because for me, I got most of my like requirements done my freshman and sophomore year. So last year I was able to have 2 frees the entire year. And I mean, it's encouraged that you try other things, but for me, I knew I was going to be off campus a lot for my extracurricular activities. So I chose to have 5 of my core classes. And on Wednesdays, I would have class at 8:15, and then I'll have like a 4-hour gap until my 2 o'clock class, which is really nice because I can catch up or get ahead on any of my schoolwork. And I had a Monday sleep in my sophomore year. So they they give you an opportunity to be very flexible with your schedule. It's almost like college.
All right, Ian, can I put you on the spot? We've got a question. I think a lot of the students have been referencing sort of having a passion that they're pursuing, but also trying new things at Episcopal. And one student is asking about being a musician and balancing the arts and athletics. And I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know that Ian was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast last year, and also had an amazing solo recently in our all-school chapel service, as well as playing on the football team this fall. So I think, Ian, you are kind of a great kid to speak to how you balance all your interests and passions as you go through this place.
Yeah, so I think we've talked a lot about the athletic program here at Episcopal, but on top of that, there's also a really robust musical program. So I came in my freshman year as like I was just, more focused on like playing football and running track. And sophomore year, because you're required to do an afternoon option, I didn't really have anything to do in the winter for an afternoon option. So I kind of just sort of randomly signed up for the winter musical. And so because I love to sing and that's kind of one of my passions. And so I just sort of randomly pursued it. And that turned into me like being super big into the winter musical. And then obviously in my junior year last year, I was cast as one of the leads. And then I joined choir just because it seemed sort of a natural progression and started giving solo performances in the chapel singing. So I think one of Episcopal's greatest strengths is allowing students like the space, but at the same time, the sort of push to pursue passions like music on top of athletics. And so for me, I really discovered a passion for singing at Episcopal while at the same time being pretty involved in athletics here. And so I think that, like I said, that's one of Episcopal's greatest strengths is just allowing students the space to just pursue whatever they want. And Episcopal's community is super supportive. We always have a great turnout for the winter musical, whether it's football guys coming out to support or at chapels. We pretty much every chapel performance is a standing ovation because it's just sort of all love here at Episcopal. So I think you can do both at the same time. You can just pursue the arts, you can just pursue the athletics, and that's one of the things I love about Episcopal.
Awesome. Anyone else want to speak to kind of balancing different pursuits in different areas of school life?
I mentioned earlier that I'm not an athlete like whatsoever. I had never really played sports before coming here, but I came in as a new sophomore and I played JV girls soccer. And it was probably the worst season of JV girls soccer that the school has ever seen. We were not great. But being on that team was one of like the best experiences I've had here because most of us were new to the sport and we were just looking for something fun to do. And it was all students on the younger end of things, so we were all new to the school and just wanted to get to know each other. And because we didn't take it overwhelmingly seriously, it was the most fun I've ever had playing a sport.
All right. Well, I want to be mindful of time. So looking for Scott and Tron, do we have time for a few more questions?
Yes, we've got time for maybe a couple more questions.
Okay, great. So we've got some questions about uniforms and dress codes and what we wear to school. Can you all explain for the students visiting what our dress code is and what a school day looks like?
So we have different dress codes for male identifying students and female identifying students. I think this is the only school I've ever been to where the dress code is a little stricter on the males. They wear button-down shirts with a tie every day, and they have the option of wearing khaki shorts or khaki slacks. Some of the key points of the dress code that apply to both genders are no Crocs or casual shoes. Will be wearing not running shoes, but sneakers are permitted or dress shoes. For the girls, it's like the word that everyone always throws around is business casual. And for me, I didn't know what that meant until I got here. So it's a bit of a learning curve, but when you put something on, you kind of know if it's class appropriate or not. You can wear Episcopal sweatshirts, but no other sweatshirts. And I would say what I wear on a typical day is just a dress and a jacket because it gets cold here.
And like Mike said, even though it is a bit strict, but I feel like it's okay since it's a respect to our teachers that we're going to class prepared and we're eager to learn and not dressed in sweatpants or like sweatshirt. It doesn't like really respect the teacher when the teacher is teaching us the subject. So you would also be handed a athletic issue shirt at the beginning of the school year in your locker room or something like that. And basically what I'm wearing right now is like a Episcopal tennis shirt. You can also get those if you're like playing a specific sport. And you would also get your like school, like your
no, pues
sport.
sí, como podamos.
Yeah. And
¿Qué,
we also have
qué
vespers.
qué es el,
Okay. But we also have vespers like once a month, and it is basically a longer chapel where you have to dress formally. So it's basically like academic attire, but a bit more formal than that. And we also have seated dinners. And so it's like for different occasions. Sometimes we have like dress down days as well if the weather is really bad. And we also have like Spirit Week where you can like dress up the theme for the day.
Alina, that's actually a great transition because I got a question. Someone mentioned the advisory program. So would someone want to talk a little bit about our seated meals? And I think maybe John mentioned advisory block, but could someone explain kind of how our advisories function and the role of the other students and the adult in your experience?
So advisors at Episcopal are usually about 6 to 8 students to one advisor, and you meet with your advisory quite a few times per week. We have advisory lunch once a week, advisory dinner once a week, and then on Tuesdays we have an advisory block, which is where the advisor can go over any like obligations that need to be done, or just like talk to the students. And your advisory is like sort of like your family because you're with them so much and you really become close with the people in your advisory. As a new student, I found that like particularly helpful because I didn't really know anyone, but I became really close with the boys in my advisory. Ian was actually in that advisory, but the advisory is just sort of meant to be there for you like socially, academically, and sort of all around just like monitoring how you're doing at Episcopal, because the transition from home to boarding school is a big one, and the advisor is supposed to like help with that transition and also like communicate with the parents.
Yeah, and also with your advisory, you can like do different activities. Like I know that my advisor is planning to go bowling sometime soon. And last year, so my advisor she's called Miss Fight, and she's a librarian. And we actually went to her house, and she cooked us like lasagna and like dinner, and like we had Oreos and like milk, and it was really nice. So you always get time to like bond with your advisor. If you have any problems, you can always talk to your advisor, and she would like help you figure out. Like since I was an international student, I had like trouble at the beginning of the year figuring out like where I want to live. And Miss Adams she was my freshman year advisor. She was always very helpful with that. And so as a freshman, when you come in, you're basically like freshmen are in like advisory by itself and upperclassmen. So from sophomore to senior, you guys are like mixed advisory, so it's co-ed, but freshman is like gender like split kind of, if that makes sense.
I see a question about how sophomores get assigned to advisories. So I came here as a new sophomore, and I don't really know how the process goes of deciding who ends up where. I know that they typically try to have at least 2 new students per advisory. You're never by yourself as a new student. I was a new sophomore in my advisory alongside a new junior, and the rest were returning students. And even though I don't know how you get assigned to an advisory, I will say that my advisory that year were a lot of the best people that I've met on campus. They're all super welcoming, and because you're a new student, you kind of get a little extra attention from the advisor. Everyone else is returning students, but your advisor is always there to help you acclimate. They don't treat you necessarily like you've been there like the rest of their students have. They still help you with adjustment, and they're just always there for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Meg. Thanks for grabbing that question. And I know that there's lots more we could hear from these students all night, but want to make sure we have time for the next part of the program. So we hope we will see you on campus and hope that we have a chance to talk with you all more in person when you come to visit, but we'll pass it back to Scott.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. And thanks to our students for joining us tonight. And I know there are questions that are continuing to come in the chat. And hopefully some of those will get answered as we're going through the faculty panel, and then we'll try to continue answering them through the chat as we go through the evening. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our faculty, and starting with Mr. Ebel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nate Ebel. I'm assistant head for academics, and hope you all are doing well. It's great to see all the faces out there. And basically what I'm going to do is run through some of the highlights of our academic program. It's a short time that I have with you, but we'll try to hit some of the main points to give you kind of an idea of how things work and what the philosophy is behind different aspects of our academic program. And just to start, I've been here at Episcopal for 14 years. I was at Woodbury for 6 years before that. And I can tell you as a longstanding faculty member that dorm games have been rigged in a unique and different way all 14 of my years. So much so it is a tradition that students come away with that explanation for not having one. I'm going to dive in and get in here to the academic program. And basically, when I talk about the academics here, I like to think of the word balanced because it represents what we're doing in different areas, but also it's kind of the idea that undergirds all that we do. And so when you look at the courses that we offer and the progression of classes that students take, students in the 9th and 10th grade take our core courses where they're learning that sort of core content, those basic skills that are going to carry them through their junior and senior years. But we really, in the junior and senior years, offer a lot of different choice and a number of different electives. And so, looking at our course catalog, we have over 140 different classes. And again, in the first 2 years, those courses will be very similar student to student. But as kids progress through the program, they're able to sort of find their area of interest, find their area of passion, and really go after the subjects that they're most interested in. Just to give you kind of an idea of the range of classes that we offer, we have 6 different languages. We offer Spanish, German, French, Chinese, Greek, Latin. We actually also have 2 students taking Arabic through Global Online Academy, and a couple of students who are taking Japanese through Global Online Academy as well. And so a number of different offerings in the languages. For math students, students come in anywhere from Algebra 1 up to Pre-Cal, and we offer each level from Algebra 1 all the way up to multivariable calculus and linear algebra. And so no matter where students come in, they're going to have 4 years of challenging math course. And we sort of pride ourselves on the fact that we're able to take students to whatever level they're able to go. Our English and our history electives are amazing courses. It's something that we pride ourselves on. In the junior and senior years in the English department, students are able to choose courses for both years. It's an elective-based curriculum. And then in senior year, after having taken the core courses of civics, world history, and U.S. history, our history courses are also in the senior year elective based. And so again, sort of moving from that core into that elective based system is the general progression that students take. And then another thing that I think is really unique about the Episcopal experience in the classroom is the fact that we are not just in the classroom, but also in DC. And you heard students talking about it just a little while ago. You'll hear Dr. Pemberton talk about it a little bit more in just a second. But really, we're doing amazing work in the classroom, and then also going out into DC and using that resource to sort of further the learning that starts there. And so, for instance, last year, our 9th grade civics courses were not only learning the sort of fundamentals of American democracy, but in the spring, they were able to go in as a class, and they had an entire hour private audience with Justice Jackson, where they're able to ask questions and talk with her in the Supreme Court. An amazing experience. Our seniors also in our legal principles course also spend the night and go to the Supreme Court. Amazing opportunities that exist in the curriculum that just don't happen elsewhere. One of the things in the humanities, in particular, our English curriculum, our students see a lot of plays and they're very involved with the theater scene in DC. And so last year, a number of students went to see a play called Who Killed John Proctor. They had read The Crucible as background. They went and saw the play. And then they were actually able to work with the production company that put the play on to sort of understand some of the background behind the production, talk to the director about different choices that were being made, and even talk to some of the actors about why they were making the choices that they were able to make. And so again, some really just unique opportunities that arise really in every discipline. Our advanced chem kids, just the end of last year, were able to go into the Lunder Conservation Center and not just sort of see a museum, but work with a chemist who was working to preserve the historical documents that go into the museums. And so they'd learned the chemistry in the class, and then they're able to go out and see it in application and make those real world connections. And it's a really powerful kind of learning that's taking place throughout students' time here. The other thing, and I think this is my most favorite part of this this part of the presentation, is talking about our faculty, who are world-class faculty and really innovative, creative teachers. But what we always say and what we always emphasize is that we want our students to be known and seen by their teachers. We want to make sure that teachers are building and investing in a relationship with the students. And so we teach our students first and our content second. And I think if you ask any of the faculty members on this slideshow tonight, you would get the sense that yes, they know their students well, and they probably keep in touch with a number of students from years past. It's that kind of place where we're really working closely with the students. Teachers are available at all different kinds of hours, and really powerful relationships that come out of the classroom environment. And the last thing that I'll say, just to kind of wrap it up, a lot of people ask about academic culture and what is it like at Episcopal? What's the culture like? And I would say that it's a culture that values both academic excellence and achievement, but also character. We take the character piece very seriously, and we want to push our students. We want to create rigorous classes. We want them to learn, and we want them to grow beyond wherever they might be. But we also really care that they're good people. And Mr. Stowell says this all the time, but if we're creating good students and not good people, then we're doing something wrong. And so point of emphasis is always on that character piece as we're working through our time here. So I'll be here and available for questions, but I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Ryan Pemberton, who's going to talk about the McCain Ravenel Center and that area of school life.
All right. Well, thank you, Nate. It's great to see so many of you this evening. You know, I have the unenviable task of following up not just Nate, but more importantly, our students, who are just absolutely amazing. And you've heard a good bit about what we do at Episcopal and what we do in the McCain Ravenel Center. I want to tell you a little bit more about why we do what we do. So if you imagine the MRC, imagine three distinct pillars. We've student programming. 5 times a year, we will take Mondays, and we will have sort of mini symposia about various topics. We're looking. We thought about leadership and community building. That's the theme for the year. Our freshmen got to go to Birch on a really cool trip in Western North Carolina. Our seniors went to the Naval Academy for a day, heard from an alumnus, got to see campus and understand what those midshipmen experience and why they do what they do. Our juniors performed service and heard from the mayor of Alexandria, and then our sophomores went into the district and understood a little bit more about what's there and a little bit of history of the city. That's an example of what we do. In October, we've got the head of the Brookings Institution, Amy Lou, coming in to speak to the students, and we're going to look at this notion of civil discourse, and that's so important. we bring these people in and we do these sorts of things to help our students become the very best versions of themselves. As Nate said, character counts. That's the very first thing we heard. When you're a new student, the very first thing our head of school, Charlie Stillwell, says is that we don't teach classes, we teach students. And that's the focus of every single teacher on this campus. And so the goal of the McCain Ravenel Center is to connect students with the Washington, D.C. area and all of the resources that are available. And our teachers are just unbelievable at the way that they're able to use what's there. But we do that, more importantly, to help bring out what we call these portrait of a graduate qualities. So we care about intellectual courage, we care about moral courage, but most importantly, we care about courageous action. And so we want students to be those people who serve others, who are intellectually honest, who are decent, who are thoughtful, and who use everything that they've been given during an experience like Episcopal for the good of others. And that's why we invest so deeply. And it's really, Nate's been here for 14 years. I've been here for about 14 months. This is my second year at Episcopal. And it's just really inspiring to be part of a community where so many faculty not only work, but we live here. And we just prior to this call, we were in the dining hall, and I saw multiple students in the dining hall talking about a quiz we're going to have in class tomorrow. That's just sort of the nature of how Episcopal works. But we do that because we care so deeply about the students, and that is what we love about being educators. And so when you're thinking about the McCain Ravenel Center, what's really, really cool, you heard about the flex blocks. So public programming, flex blocks, and then externships. This is something you need to, it's, I think, a really, really cool opportunity for students at Episcopal. When you're a senior, seniors do not take classes in May. They will have prepared for an externship over the course of their senior year, and they'll go out and they will do different things. They'll work on Capitol Hill, they'll work for think tanks, they'll work for different medical practices, do some really, really fascinating work. And so every opportunity that we have with flex blocks, with these public programs, with these externships, they're all meant to take what we do in the classroom and to take all of the opportunities that we have outside of the classroom, all of the support of the teachers, everything that we have in the DC area to help students become not just the very best versions of themselves, but the very best versions of the types of people that they can be. And so that is our mission, that's our purpose. And it's great that Nate just mentioned so many opportunities. The students mentioned the different flex blocks that they're on. We have a group of students right now at the Signature Theater going to see a play this evening. And what's really neat to think about when you think about experiential learning, there's always something. Imagine 3 parts. The first part is something that you're going to learn in class. The second part is something that you will actually do. And then the third piece is that reflection. And so what's really neat about Episcopal is when Coach Rogers took the entire football team to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and then to Arlington National Cemetery, the same questions he was asking the students were the same sorts of questions other teachers are going to be asking of those students, their advisors are going to be asking of their advisees, and what dorm parents or other mentors are going to ask. They're going to want to know how you grew, what your not just passions are, but what your calling might be. What's changed? How did you grow? What's different? How did you connect what happened in practice last week or in the game last week with what happened in class, with what happened on dorm, with what happened in some other aspect of life? How can you use what happened in the game to think about that as a lesson in persistence or some other character building piece of life? And so it's imagine those 3 pieces again: you're learning something, you're doing something, and then you're reflecting on it. So that last piece, I think, is really, really important. And so at the McCain Ravenel Center, I've got the best job on campus because I get to work with every single faculty member and every single student. We had more than 600 flex block opportunities last year. And so we try to support the teachers in every possible way. And it's just awesome to see the way that the students grow, to see the creativity of the teachers, and to see the way that we're able to make connections between everything that happens here. And again, it's all done to support the whole student. And, to the parents, one thing I would love for you to just remember is that every single teacher is here to help the students, again, grow holistically and use everything that happens here on campus to make that a reality. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them now or later. And I'll now turn it over to Phil Spears, Assistant Head for Student Life.
Hey, Phil, I think you're muted.
I just gave the best speech anybody had never heard. I'm Phil Spears, the Assistant Head for Student Life, and I'm a proud father of a 9th grader right now, new to the high school, who's having a great experience. I'm also a 9th grade advisor. I'm a 10th grade health teacher. I'm an assistant coach for the girls varsity softball team. I'm also someone who loves dad jokes. Catherine, Angela, I see you all out there. Bodie, Owen, I know you're out there. I know you too probably like dad jokes. And so I just want you to know that my favorite color is purple. And Isabel, Agnes, my favorite color is purple. I like it more than blue and red combined. And so as the assistant head of student life, you see here a few things that we're proud of, that we do well on this slide. This is the co-curricular piece, the piece that goes with what Dr. Pemberton and Mr. Ebel were just talking about. These are the daily things that happen all the time here that are co-curricular, that go along with and enhance the entire education that we're so proud of, and I think makes such a difference in young people's lives. I would say that this is a school that's built on relationships. You heard Mr. Ebel and Dr. Pemberton just talk a little bit about that. Built on relationships. We're committed educators who've chosen, I think, to live in a boarding environment. There are nearly 100 faculty members who live on campus. There are about 50 campus dogs, faculty dogs here on this campus. And there are teachers here who also like, dad jokes. And I would tell another one right now, Grant, I see you. Agnes, I see you there. Agnes, why didn't the vampire attack Taylor Swift, Agnes? Why didn't the vampire attack Taylor Swift? Agnes, the vampire didn't attack because she had bad blood. So it's really important, if you don't take anything else away tonight, that you take that away. It's also important that I point out support, right? This is student life, this is arts, this is athletics, but it's about support. It's about the fact that we have a health center. If we could go to the next slide, Ms. Kim Sr., and we could take a look at it. These are our new dorms on the left there, our two dormitories, and that's our DeButz Health and Wellness Center on the right. And that's a 24/7 health center with a medical doctor overseeing it. There's a quiet room there for students who need some silence. There's a yoga studio there. There are counseling spaces there for appointments, virtual appointments with personal counselors, or in-person sessions with our counselors or some local counselors. EHS is a place with over 60 advisors, 5 deans, 2 full-time chaplains, one of whom you're about to hear from, 3 full-time counselors. I think this is a place of support that takes care of students and helps them be known. I think you heard Davian speak to that very well earlier in the student panel. And so in the afternoon after classes, I did want to mention, in addition to student support, you heard quite a bit about athletics and arts. We have outdoor programming as well. But I think it's important that you know that there's a student life experience on dorm in that health and wellness center in DC, in Old Town Alexandria, that's about friendship. It's about support. It's about the whole student. And I think what we do in the student life arena, I think supports the academic pieces you just heard about. beautifully. And so I hope you'll strongly consider coming to join us next year. And our chaplain, the Reverend Betsy Carmody, whom you're about to hear from, is probably the biggest fan of dad jokes on the campus. And so I'll just turn it over to her by making sure that she knows that a lion would never play golf, but a tiger would.
Oh, Phil.
So there you go, Rev C. That's all you. Thank y'all for joining us.
When you all wonder what keeps me coming back after almost 10 years in this job, it's people like Phil. So God bless. Thank you, my friend. Hi, everybody. My name is Betsy Carmody. Students call me Rev C. I'm one of 2 full-time chaplains here at Episcopal, and I serve as head chaplain. And this is my 10th year here at Episcopal, and I wear a number of hats along with being chaplain and taking care of things in the chapel program, and supporting students in their spiritual life here at Episcopal. I've also been involved with our service program at different times, and I'm also a dorm head here and work closely with our residential life curriculum and serving here on Harrison Dormitory, where I live with my daughter, who is currently a junior here at Episcopal. But I too, there is something, I agree with Phil, there's something intentional about living at a boarding school. And I think intentional being a priest who works at a boarding school. I really choose to work with high schoolers and not live the lifestyle of being a parish priest. I like the intersectionality in the religious landscape of working at a school and being a religiously diverse community. And I think the idea of coming together and intentionally living together in the way that we do, I think that is what mirrors what God's dream is for the world. And us living together in the love of it all, and the joy of it all, and the mess of it all is what I think actually grows us into stronger people together. And I'm learning things all the time, working and living with young people and with my colleagues in this setting. So we have 3 weekly chapel services. We have optional Sunday services here on Sundays. We sometimes get off campus for worship as well. We have local houses of worship, synagogues, and mosques that we work to get students to during their time here at Episcopal. We have speakers that come through the chapel program to visit with our students and continue the conversation and exploration. We have a student-led vestry that is part of leading our campus ministry, and kind of what that looks like for our students, and really continuing that conversation. Our senior warden, Peter, just gave his chapel talk last week, and he said, I'm just here to really be a part of the conversation with you. And that's what I want to do. And I'm excited about doing this job because it's about asking the hard questions and wrestling with the big questions of life. Who are we? Why are we here? And what do we want to be up to in the time that we are here? And so for some people, those questions have faith, life, and spiritual impacts. And so we're ready to kind of be here and wrestle with those things. And we sing together, which I'll say Mr. Spears is also really good at that too. Maybe not as good at the jokes, but he's actually a really good singer. So I'll give him that as well. But up for any questions about the work that we do. It's fun, and it's definitely what keeps me coming back for more. So for sure. And I think I'm throwing it to Mr. Smith, our director of the Office of Community and Equity. Yes, I got it right.
Thanks, Betsy. My name is Lewis Smith. I am the director of our Office of Community and Equity. I'm entering my 11th year, which is very hard for me to believe. I have 3 sons who have graduated from Episcopal. And one thing I can say that speaks to my role, as well as to the things that everyone else here has spoken to, is that they are 3 very different young men, and they all had amazing experiences here, very different paths. And that's one of the things that drew me to Episcopal in the first place, was seeing just the incredible range of students that we have in terms of interest, background, country of origin, whatever it is, you name it. There was a question about diversity in the chat, and I just answered that. I just sent an answer to that. But that's really what makes this place tick, and that's sort of why I have my job. The main focus of this job is really to focus on fostering a culture of belonging among every single member of our community. And in order for you to understand sort of what that means, I think there are 3 terms in what I just said that are important to define. You got to understand, and we do this with our students, what community means, what equity means, and what we mean when we talk about belonging. When we talk about community, it really means that out of this sort of multitude of cultures that we have coming from everywhere, and that can depend on your socioeconomic background, your country of origin, your race, your religion, your sexual orientation, your gender identity, anything, all these things foster this huge myriad of cultures. And from that, we've got to really find what our common ground is. And that common ground gives us all something that we identify with, all something that we believe in, all something that we buy into. And that's how we get things like, John talking about how he felt like this place was his home after a little while. And when he went home, he couldn't wait to get back here at school. When we talk about equity and we talk about belonging, the analogy I like to use is talking about like a school dance. And, there are these words also, we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging. And when we talk about diversity, that means really there are a bunch of dances happening on campus, let's say. Equity means that every person has equal access to any of those dances. They're all ADA equipped. Any person, no matter your ability, no matter who you are, where you're from, et cetera, you can go to any one of those dances. When we talk about inclusion, that means when you're at this dance, maybe somebody there invites you out to dance with them. And the belonging piece, which is really kind of the gold standard that we're going for, is when you're at one of these dances, whichever one you choose to go to, music comes on and that is your jam. And you cannot help but get out on the floor and move. And maybe if you're not a dancer, you get up and sing along. But that's really that feeling that we're going for everybody here on campus. Now, your song is not necessarily going to be playing all the time. Sometimes you're going to have to listen to somebody else's music, but you've got to know that it's there and you've got to know that it's coming. And that's what keeps you sort of coming back and feeling like you belong here. And that foundation of belonging, that foundation of sort of knowing that this is your home also gives footing for the other part of community, which means sometimes you do have to do things that you don't want to do. You got to pay your taxes, you got to do your homework, whatever it might be. You got to go to a very far away game, even if you're going to ride the bench the whole time. All those things are a lot easier when you know that you're part of this community where you belong. In more concrete terms, what that means is I work with students on things like student clubs. We have affinity spaces, and the distinction between a club and an affinity space is very important. I work with, our academic departments on curricular development. I work on helping students learn from their mistakes. One of the things I try to make sure that they're aware of is I'm not the person who's there to punish you. I'm the person to help you understand if you make a mistake, if you do something wrong, why did you do something wrong? Why did you make this mistake, and how can you get better? And at the same time, a big part of my job is protecting students who might be harmed when mistakes are made, when harmful things are done, because those happen in any community. And that's where I really feel that our community comes to life. It's not that we never make mistakes or things, never happen that we wish hadn't happened. That happens, it's impossible to have any community anywhere where that doesn't happen. But the sort of magic of Episcopal, and the thing that I love about it, is the way that every single person here, adults, students, et cetera, really lean in and buy into how do we fix this? How do we go forward from here? And to me, there are some institutional things we've done that really embody that at a higher level. If you've been on the website, you may have seen our board resolution, which was the result of our school history working group, which was a group that looked into our school history in order to understand what the relationship was between our school, which was founded in the South, in Virginia in 1839, and the institution of slavery. Because if you don't look into it, all kinds of stories can come out of it. People can say, oh, well, we don't really know whether there are slaves here. People can say, oh, this place was a plantation, et cetera, et cetera. So why don't we look into it and find out? It turns out we know that there were 40 enslaved people who worked here. They weren't owned by the school, but they did work here. That's very important for us. And from that came a board resolution saying, well, let's find a way to memorialize all of these people on an institutional level, the way we memorialize other people who've been really important to the founding of this school. And that's important because when we look at history and we think about the people we memorialize and why we memorialize them, it's telling us what we care about and what we think is important. So if there are folks who've been overlooked, that's a statement that really matters in terms of who we are and living up to that notion of courageous action that Dr. Pemberton spoke about earlier. In terms of faculty, I help with our Dean of Faculty working with professional development, where we focus mostly on, sort of core competencies around cultural competence, anti-bias work, anti-bigotry work, anti-racism. These are all words that get politicized and thrown around, but really the idea is we want to oppose any kind of bigotry, no matter where you find it. And that trickles down to the work we do with our students. Again, this is a magical place. You know, the thing that keeps me coming back, I do love my colleagues, but the students here, you know, all of you prospective families are absolutely incredible. And that's what makes this place what it is, which is a place that I really love being. I have 2 young girls who I can't wait until they get to go to school here. I think the next person who I'm passing this on to is our Director of Athletics, Jen Fitzpatrick.
Hi, thanks, Louis. My name is Jen Fitzpatrick. I'm the Director of Athletics. This is my 17th year at Episcopal. I think you've heard a lot about athletics already. Our students did an awesome job, so I feel like I'm not necessarily even needed at this point, but do want to give you a full overview of our afternoon option program. There's a lot that's on this slide. I think it gives you a sense of all the many things that we do in the afternoons. That includes offerings for athletic credit and then afternoon activities, which some other folks will talk to you about in a little bit. But overall, on the athletic front, we have 52 teams and 19 different sports. In order to graduate, we require that students participate in an offering that offers athletic credit at least 6 seasons. Most students do more than that. Seasonally, about 85% of our students are participating in an afternoon option that offers athletic credit, and about 70% of students are participating on an interscholastic team each season. That looks very different for different students. Some may come in with a passion or a high level of experience or expertise, and others may be beginners. And we're excited to support all the different levels. Our interscholastic teams have offerings at 3 different levels. Obviously, that top tier is the varsity level. There's also a junior varsity, and some of our offerings have a 3rd level, which we call our junior program. I think the greatest thing that we're able to offer as an athletic program is the resource of the people that we work with. You've met a lot of them here. We hope that throughout the admissions process, you get a chance to know them. We have over 100 coaches working with our student athletes, and 2/3 of those are full-time faculty or staff members. So not only do they have a real expertise in the area that they're working with students, they also have a strong connection to the daily life at Episcopal. Every one of our teams has at least 1 faculty or staff member on that coaching staff. In addition to that, our athletic department includes 2 full-time athletic trainers and a part-time strength and conditioning coach. And we're lucky to be in the DMV area, which provides us with some pretty remarkable resources. I think the 2 most important aspects of that are the proximity to opportunities to train off campus for the very limited number of sports that we're not able to support on campus. It's just a few. Our crew program will row down the road, about 20 minutes down the road at the Occoquan River. Our climbers have access to a local gym called Sport Rock, in addition to an on-campus bouldering wall. Our swim and dive program swims at local pools, but also this spectacular sports complex that's just down the road called the St. James. And our golfers, while they are golfing at local clubs and competing at clubs within the area, are soon going to have access to an on-campus golf facility that we're breaking ground on this fall. In addition to that, we've got great resources on campus. I hope that when you come to campus, or even if you're just perusing the website, you get a sense for the resources that are here. Our fields are sought out by some of the most elite athletes, including the U.S. women's national soccer team. We've hosted the U.S. men's national soccer team. We've hosted college football programs. This summer, we had English Premier League teams training on campus. So while that's fun for us and kind of an exciting piece, I think it really speaks to the resources that we're able to have here in DC. That proximity to DC is also really meaningful because we don't have to go far to find really remarkable competition. We have really strong league affiliations, but the travel that's associated with being an interscholastic athlete is, I would say, pretty reasonable, and it fits into a schedule that allows for early releases on a couple of days a week where there's not a whole lot of missed class. You're not missing a whole lot of study hall. You get back in time for dinner. And that's a great benefit of being so close to some of our peer schools. I think the other really important benefit is that we have a pretty uncommon level of access to local clubs and AAU programs for a boarding school. And if this is something that's of interest to you, as you explore Episcopal, I'd really encourage you to reach out to me or another member of the athletics department, or connect with a coach who can tell you a little bit more about how that might work for you and your family. I think that's also true with some of the passions that students will pursue in the arts and in other areas of school life. But we really want to get to know you. Coaches are a really important part of the admissions admissions process, and we hope that you'll reach out and get to know all of us. We're eager to get to know all of you. And I think I'm handing this off now to our chair of the arts program, Mark Carter.
Thanks, Jen. My name is Mark Carter. It's good to see everybody. Hope you're having a good evening. We obviously have a robust everything here. As you've listened tonight and listening to the students, they love the programs that we offer and the experiences that they get to have. And I have the privilege of being able to speak on behalf of one of our other programs, the arts program. I've actually been here for, this is my 14th year. And just like Betsy, I'm a dorm head, and I also am the faculty advisor to the discipline committee. So as most faculty members, I wear several hats here, but I do love my program here in the arts department. And we are a group of, frankly, the faculty here is just absolutely incredible. They're world-class artists as well as teachers. You're going to find every different type of art that you may or may not know about or have experienced, but you do have the option to come and be part of anything that you would like to be part of. You can see on the slide that we offer many of the traditional things that you think of in arts programs, the fine arts with ceramics and drawing and painting. We do have the traditional instrumental music, choral music, dance, theater, all of those things. And we also have a very robust digital arts program with digital photography, digital graphics, videography, and audio engineering. So you're going to find a lot of different things that you might enjoy doing here. And you also may find some things that you may want to dip your foot into and just see how you, how it feels to you. The nice thing about a lot of our classes is that they are classes during the day, which allows you to take arts as part of your day and then still have the afternoon option open for you to be able to go to athletics if that's what you're choosing to do. We do offer arts in the afternoon option time period, and that's where our major productions for theater are going to be found. Many of the dance productions are done in the evening during the afternoon option time period. But if you want to be multifaceted and do the classes during the day and then athletics in the afternoon, you are open to that, which allows for a lot of different experiences here on campus. Not only do we have the classes, though, we also offer private lessons in pretty much any instrumental instrument you can think of, as well as the choral department offers voice lessons. And we've even had people take ballet, private acting, and private audio engineering lessons in their time here. So we do have a pretty vast option for that. And as are all of our programs, we utilize Washington, D.C. a great deal. Obviously, the Kennedy Center and National Theater just down the road from us. And we also host here on campus 4 times a year the National Chamber Players, which is the chamber group from the National Symphony Orchestra. Just recently, we had our first performance for this year, and one of our featured performers is a Juilliard piano professor who happens to be Itzhak Perlman's accompanist. So we offer a lot of incredible people that come here to campus and not only perform, but also interact with our students. And just another side track on Friday night, the dancers and several of our other students went to Moulin Rouge and had a chance to actually meet and work with some of the cast. And I could go on and on about the opportunities and experiences they have here, but we want you to be a part of it. So if you come, find something you want to try, find something you love, and see what you can get into. I think I'm passing it back to Scott now.
Yes, thanks, Mark. And thanks to all our faculty members for talking more about our programs. We're running a little bit behind, so I'm going to jump into the application process. But if you do have any questions for our faculty members that just presented, what I would encourage you to do is just hit them in the chat, and I'm sure they can answer any specific questions that you have. But quickly, I wanted to go through the application process. We do have two common applications. One is Gateway to Prep Schools, and the other is the standard application online, which we call the SAO. Either is fine. You can access both of those on our website. We require recommendations from are required from teachers from this academic year. So that would be what we call a principal counselor recommendation, which would be an administrator at the school, your current math teacher and your current English teacher. If you're on a block schedule and you're taking math or English in the second semester, just let us know, and we can work and get a recommendation from another teacher. So it could be a science teacher or a social studies teacher. So we'll work around that. And there are also optional recommendations you can get from another teacher, from a coach, from a music teacher that you can submit as well. So there's some more options there. And really, in the recommendations, we're looking for work ethic, character, and just what kind of fit are you going to be in our school community. We ask for a transcript, so that would be from at least the last 2 years. So if you're applying for the 9th grade and currently in 8th, we would ask to see your 7th grade transcript and your most updated transcript from this current year. If you're applying for the junior year, we would ask for a 9th and 10th grade transcript as well. If your English is not your first language, we do ask you to submit either the TOEFL, Duolingo, or IELTS scores as part of our process. We are test optional regarding the SSAT. So that's something that we've been since COVID in the 2020-21 school year. So we remain test optional. About a third of applicants submitted testing last year, but we really look at the complete application. So if you have any questions about whether or not you should submit testing, please let us know. But the majority of our applicants do not submit testing. And then the interview as a required part of the process. It's our favorite thing to do, is meeting the students and getting to know you all and hearing about your passions, your interests, and why you want to go to boarding school. That should be a fun part of the process for you as well. And we can do that either on campus, where we would provide a student-led campus tour, and then also an interview with one of our officers, but we can also do that virtually as well if you can't make it to campus. And then just some important dates to know about. We do have an on-campus open house on Saturday, October 28th, so that'll be in the afternoon. That's also an interview day that morning. So if you want to come on the campus for the open house and do your interview, we can schedule that for that Saturday morning. December 9th, which is also a Saturday, is our Explore Episcopal open house, which is really geared towards the students. It's a more interactive open house where students can choose different academic options, an arts setting, and then also an athletic option as well. So there are 3 45-minute sessions. It's been a really fun day for both our students and faculty and coaches, and also our prospective students. And then our deadlines, our application deadline is January 15th. So there's still plenty of time to work on your application. Most students start the application in December, reaching out to get those recommendations sometime, usually around Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving break, so that teachers have time to get those in. We will interview through the end of January, so you don't have to complete your interview before January 15th, but we do ask that you complete it before February 1st. For those families that will be applying for financial aid, that deadline is also January 15th. Any questions that you have about financial aid, Vincent Hodge, who is our Director of Financial Aid, can help answer any questions that you have related to that. And then March 10 is our notification date. So that's a Sunday this year. So we send all of our decisions on March 10, and then families have until April 10, accepted families, to decide whether or not they're going to enroll. And we have a couple revisit days at the end of March on a Sunday and Monday, March 24th and 25th this year, a chance to come back and see campus and experience athletic sessions, academic sessions, art sessions, panels, and just a lot of different opportunities to answer all your questions before you have to make your decision. And the last slide I'll show here is our contact information. We are very excited to get this process started. Some of you are at different points in the process. Some have already made their visit or done their interview, started their application. Many are just learning about Episcopal tonight. So we're here to answer questions for you. We're excited to meet you. And thank you again for joining us tonight. I'm going to stop there, and we'll be in touch. So thank you everybody for joining us.